Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
Coming up on the August 29th edition of Carolina Week.
I'm Carla Babb. I'll show you how a shorter break in Congress affected our state.
Jen Carpenter shows us a modern marvel right here in the U.S.
Coming up in sports, a look ahead at what could be another championship year for women's soccer.
Jonathan O has your Carolina Week 4-day forecast.
All that and a race down memory lane. Carolina Week starts right now.
From the James F. Goodman Studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, connecting campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Hello and welcome to the August 29th edition of Carolina Week. I'm Sara Huffman.
And I'm Adam Rhew. We're glad you could join us for this first broadcast of the fall semester. Today marks the 2-year anniversary of the day when Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans. But as students get settled into the semester and get busy with classes and studying, it's easy to forget that not everyone is back to normal down south. Many towns are still in bad shape, and many families are still struggling to rebuild their homes and their lives. UNC junior and New Orleans native Beth Dykeman says even 2 years later, she feels the effects of the hurricane, and it's important to remember that.
Here you hardly hear about it at all, but when I go home, for example, for the summers, probably 50% of the news stories are about insurance or recovery efforts or something. It's constantly surrounding their minds.
In remembrance of the storm and all that was lost, Extended Disaster Relief is sponsoring a vigil tonight at 7:30 in the pit.
Earlier warnings about the drought won't make you start conserving water. Maybe the governor will. Instead of flushing our water supply down with rain, Governor Mike Easley is asking North Carolinians to cut back on their water usage by 20% because of statewide drought conditions. If conditions continue to worsen, tougher water restrictions could go into effect. Here are some quick tips for UNC students to make every drop count. Turn off faucets while brushing your teeth, shaving, and so on. Wash only full loads of laundry and dishes, and don't waste flushes.
There's a little more Carolina blue on the streets this fall after the buses here received a facelift. Chapel Hill residents and Carolina students are riding in style this year. As of last week, 19 new buses hit the road, boasting a brand new look. Among the new buses are these hybrid electric buses, which will reduce some gas guzzling. The town also added 3 60-foot buses, which can seat as many riders as 2 regular buses, but they're only for high-traffic stops.
Carolina switched its colors from blue to pink, at least for a day. Victoria's Secret turned UNC Pink Tuesday during its Campus 2007 tour. Students could get a peek at fall's latest merchandise from the pink clothing line, or pick up some limited edition sweatshirts. One lucky girl will also win a $500 gift bag full of apparel and accessories. Marketing intern Allison Badia says there's a lot to choose from.
But one thing that we do have new for this year is our new fleece fits. We have the skinny and the boyfriend because skinny jeans are in. And as for the boyfriends, they're very big and roomy and everybody loves them. It's like they picked up sweatpants from their boyfriend's floor.
Company officials will announce the gift bag winner later today.
Some changes on campus are providing more convenience and comfort to students. The new Student Academic Services buildings are now officially open. Students can go to one convenient location for many of the services they need, such as the University Registrar and student accounts. The Writing Center and other helpful academic resources are also in the new buildings. Just up the sidewalk, Morrison Residence Hall is open following renovations. Workers installed solar panels to heat the building's water supply. If you're going to Student Health to get your back-to-school checkup, be sure to leave your cigarettes at home. You're not supposed to light up anywhere on UNC Hospital's main campus. The hospitals have been tobacco-free since July to protect patients and their families from secondhand smoke. Dozens of signs are posted near roads and sidewalks reminding people of the new rules, but a lack of consistent enforcement means hospital grounds aren't truly tobacco-free just yet.
For the first time, students will be able to say they graduated from Carrboro High School. Carrboro High began classes Monday for 600 freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. Students are already taking part in after-school activities such as color guard, marching band, and athletics. The Jaguars don't expect to be very competitive in this sports season, but they say to watch out in the years to come.
North Carolina's members of Congress usually spend the month of August in their districts at events like the opening of Carrboro High. But this year, lawmakers decided to stay in Washington a little longer. Reporter Carla Babb has more.
This year, lawmakers spent one extra week working on Capitol Hill. Congressman Bob Etheridge says the benefits are worth the time away from home.
You know, it gives you less time to meet with constituents, obviously, but it also means you have more time to work on the priorities in Washington, and I think that's important this year with the new Congress, with the new things we're taking on.
And so far, some of his constituents don't seem to mind the shortened recess. Brian Long organized the Ag First event for the North Carolina Department of Agriculture.
Commissioner, thank you very much, and I am delighted to be here.
He says contacting our representatives was no more difficult this year than in other years when recess was longer.
We always face the same challenge, regardless of how much time off they have. They're not really off, they're still working.
Of the 12 congressional offices I spoke to, only half released their schedules. Republicans Coble, Jones, and Myrick, and Democrats Price, Etheridge, and Watt. Overall, you'll see they attended about the same number of events this year, despite 5 fewer days in the district. But when you look along party lines, the Republicans actually increased their number of events by 11, while the Democrats did 14 fewer.
But other than the party differences, the biggest schedule change for some is vacation time.
I do appreciate the time that you've taken to be here.
Congressman Etheridge cut his in half, from 6 days in the past non-election year to just 3 this year. And after the House passed a new farm bill Etheridge co-sponsored during that extra week on the Hill, voters like Long say they appreciate the additional lawmaking.
That extra week of work seems to have paid off, and hopefully when they return to work in September, the Senate will take up the farm bill and move forward with it.
But not all North Carolinians are so optimistic. UNC political scientist Eric Engstrom says all the proposed legislation will eventually still face time from the voters.
They still have to finish the budget, which they're behind on, and the upcoming debate over funding of continuing funding of the troops in Iraq.
And Etheridge agrees.
The original target dates in recent years have been get out on October 15th. That's not going to happen this year. I think the earliest could be Thanksgiving. It could be later than that.
But he says he's happy to put in the extra time as long as Congress gets the job done for voters. In Chapel Hill, I'm Carla Babb, Carolina Week.
And with less time for members of Congress in the districts, it might not surprise you that a recent poll reveals well-informed voters are in the minority. 2/3 of Americans admit they're in the dark about international politics. Only 30% were well-versed in U.S. politics. This lack of knowledge could pose problems for presidential candidates trying to reach out to voters. We questioned 30 UNC students to see if their knowledge of politics was above the norm. The results were surprising. Only 20% of students say they're well-versed in national and international politics. But all of the students could name 3 presidential candidates, so at least they're paying attention to the upcoming election.
The Southeast isn't known for its Hindu population.
So you might be surprised to see what just opened in one of the region's largest cities. It's not the Taj Mahal, but it's close.